right, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our second speaker series. My name is Andrea Kaikala. I'm the Executive Director of Washington Business Week, and I'm joined today by our Director of Operations, Jenna Lusk, who will be helping me moderate the questions. Jed is going to take those questions in real time, so feel free to write them as they come to you in the chat box or in the question and answer on Zoom. All right, so now to introduce our speaker. Jed was born the fourth out of 5 children in California. During his time in high school, he experienced an Orange County record with 41 wins in a row. During his time in college, he enjoyed the challenge of being a student athlete as he pursued an accounting degree from Washington State. Go Cougars!
Go Cougs!
During his time in the National Football League, he went from an undrafted free agent to a top-rated fullback while learning from a dozen different locker rooms along the way. During his time as a writer, Jed has had articles published in Scout.com and ESPN.com, as well as CNBC. He just published his first book, Your Money Vehicle. During his time as a presenter, Jed has delivered keynotes and facilitated workshops at Amazon, Microsoft, Sotheby's, GlaxoSmithKline, the NFL, MLB, and many universities. I'm thrilled to have Jed here to share his knowledge with all of you. So welcome, Jed. Take it away.
Thank you so much, and welcome in. First off, let me applaud you all by joining sessions like this, truly taking this time and this chaos to invest in yourselves. This opportunity you have before you is an interesting and a challenging time, but one, as a young professional, you can begin to see as a tremendous opportunity. No time in history has the playing field ever really been leveled. And as you look at it, 50-year-olds to 20-year-olds are all trying to figure out what this new world is going to look like and what the new horizon is like. So let's begin by adapting to one of the ways we are starting to, which is this virtual session. And let me go ahead, and I'm going to not make this about the slides, but I do want to have a couple here just in case it helps us kind of take through. So as you can see, this is going to be your money vehicle. But I can't help but kind of explain where I come from and how this is so important to me. You see these helmets on the screen, and this really identifies my mindset. Some people would look at this and say, wow, did this guy get to play for all those teams? Yes, I did. But what I see when I look at this screen is failure, and I consider myself a great failure. Each and every one of these teams called me, cut me, and told me my dream was going to be over. And it wasn't until I stopped and really started to appreciate what I was getting to experience that I realized it was going to change my life. How I began to develop my mindset, how I became a successful veteran in the National Football League was by observing different individuals in each one of these locker rooms and truly stealing tidbits of their success from all different ventures, whether it was their routines, their mentorship, their strategies, their goal setting, a lot of different feats. And what I'm excited about is that I get to intertwine those behaviors and principles of success with the understanding around money. And those understandings are what we're here to talk about. I'm not going to spend too much time on the football talk, but I do love to show at least one picture. For 2 reasons this picture strikes me is that guy on the ground, his name was Luke Kuechly. He was actually the defensive MVP, and yes, I did score a touchdown on him. But most importantly, if you look at the top of the screen, you'll see that hair flow. Any of you women out there will appreciate that doesn't just happen overnight. That's a lot of time and effort and energy that goes into those locks. But this slide is intended to be blank. Andrea mentioned it. I want to have a conversation more than just Jed sit here and talk at you. I want to address different topics. We're going to talk about question number 1, why money is important to you today. We're going to talk about the first trap or the first mistake most people make on their financial journeys. We're going to talk about that sexy engine that drives your money vehicle investments and introduce you to how to go about investing. And then we're going to finish up with a cash management system around what you're going to do with your first paycheck if you've already received one, or before even preparing a plan as one comes on the horizon. But this session is about you. It's not about me. It's not about the content. It's not about the book, your money vehicle. This is about you. So please, by all means, send in some questions and Gina will be able to relay them. So if we haven't had any yet, I'm going to begin with a question. What would you do if I handed you $100 bill? I want you to type something in, write in. First thing that pops in your mind, don't tell me the answer you think I want to hear. What would you actually go out and buy? $100, bam, you got it. I guess now it would be order it on Amazon, which you can get absolutely everything. Has there been any, can you give me any responses?
Let's see, we have savings. Someone would buy a new skateboard.
All right. Savings, liar. No, I'm just kidding. Good for you.
You have two.
Two savings. Good for you guys. So skateboard. I love it. I got $100. My hobby, my passion, what I want money to do is bring me enjoyment. Skateboard is it. Is there any more coming in?
We have save it or take my family out to lunch.
All right.
We have make sure that it's not counterfeit.
You don't trust me? Good for you. Never start without trust. So as you look at that, I love that idea. Let's take my family out for a nice meal. Enjoy that. Now, where does your mindset shift if I offered you $1,000? Let's say tomorrow morning, $1,000 ends up in your checking account. What are you going to do with that $1,000? Does your answer change at all?
Let's see. We're going to save for college.
Nice. Very strong. Save for an opportunity like college.
Oh, we have another college and university.
Love
save.
it.
Someone's going to save 80%.
Nice. 80. Yeah, I like that. They've already got that strategy. Go spend 20, save 80. That's the money bucket system we're going to talk about here in a second.
Yep. One more. We got 500 into stocks and 500 into a new phone.
All right. I love this strategic outlay. That is what we're here to discuss. That is what I love. And as we go through, I'm going to come back to some of these answers. The last one I'm going to ask, and we're not even going to ask for any more responses, but imagine being handed $10,000, whether cash money, whether somebody Venmo'd you that, it just ended up in your bank account, $10,000. How does your mindset shift when it's that sum of money? And what I wanted to introduce you to is how long you begin to see money, or what I love to refer to as what type of or are you? Spendor, savor, investor. If any of you on here want to be English majors or love writing, not all three of those words end in OR, but it sounds a lot better and it's a little more marketable when you say what type of or are you, so bear with me. When I first got my paycheck in the NFL, it was a sizable money. It was $30,000, click of a button, landed, already taxes taken out into my checking account. That was my first really big check. And I'm ashamed, but also proud to admit that check, that money I received was spent before I even had it. Before it was even in my account, I knew exactly where it was going, and it was going back out the door. Full disclosure, I bought an engagement ring. My wife and I have been married for 10 years. Yeah. To this day, I will tell her that was a very poor financial decision because our relationship with money was we were spendors. We got money, we spent money, got money, spent money. Day-to-day time frame, that was what I understood and knew about money. Well, I woke up a night or two after that check was gone in sweats and cramps and just anxiety, realizing football was going to make a major physical toll on my body and on my mind. And if I didn't leave the game having something to show for it, I would not have achieved the true NFL dream. Something I get to talk to young professional athletes, football, baseball. I get to tell them your dream was not to have your name called and walk across the stage as a rookie. Your dream is to walk out of the locker room with something to show for it. I would say the same to you. Your dream is to not make $100,000 or $1 million. Your dream is to capture that opportunity and to learn to use it. So what I began to realize, as some of you have said, I wanted to maybe save up for a nice meal out with my family. Maybe I was going to save up for college. I had a purpose on a 1 to 2 year time horizon that I knew where those dollars were going to go. I stopped just spending on a day-to-day. I started to look in the next 1 to 2 years and see what I wanted to save up for. Engagement ring came and went. But whatever your idea is, I want to save up for a new skateboard. I want to save up for college. That is the savor mindset. And your time period went from day to day to year. It wasn't until I picked up a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which, if some of you have seen, is a wonderful personal finance book. There's arguably a better one out there. We'll talk about that at the end now. But that book changed my life because it changed my mindset around money. See, I was an accounting major. I got a wonderful business degree, and I grew up around educated people with money. But nobody taught me how to use money. Even Rich Dad, Poor Dad showed me mentally how I should see money, but nobody showed me what to go do with it. Playing in the NFL, I had to learn this very quickly, and I started to see these investors. These investors don't see money day to day. They don't even see it year to year. They see money decade to decade. Why investors are not happy with, but not terrified by the market today is because they see where the market's going to be in a decade or 2 decades. Or for some of you and me who have 50, 60 years in front of us, where's the market going to be in that time frame? That is the investor mindset. They are the first and only group that no longer just goes to work for money, but they make money go to work for them. If you want to write something down, I would challenge you to write down, employ your money. Make money your employee. We're going to talk about a little later on how the beautiful 8th wonder of the world will not only let you make money your employee, but those employees can go create their own employees without you working for it. So I ask you again, before we move on, what type of or are you? Does anybody have any questions so far as we get going?
I am not seeing any here
Good.
yet. Oh,
All right. That means I'm covering it all. You guys are either breathtaking by how good this is so far, or I've already lost you. I'm going to lean towards the first one. What we're here to discuss is called the money bucket system. It's a way I categorize my paychecks. Now, I have never been a mint person. I've never said, hey, I want to track every dollar and dime I make, because I feel like money controls me. Why I don't use the word budget is because it's limiting. Budgets control you. Again, I want to use money. I want to control it. So a cash management system, the money bucket system, puts you in control, and you are sitting in the driver's seat of your money vehicle. These are the 5 choices you have with every dollar you make. I don't care if you're Jeff Bezos, the wealthiest person in the world by a long shot as of the last month, or just starting at Amazon tomorrow, or you're cutting lawns and making $10 an hour. I don't care where your paycheck is coming from. These 5 choices are going to fulfill every decision you make around them. And I want it to be as simple and as implementable as possible. So this first bucket is a reality of where we live, society. You will have to pay taxes. I don't want you to see taxes in a negative frame. Taxes are a wonderful thing. Taxes happen when you make money. That's a good event. When you buy something, that's a sales. That's a positive event. You got something. Real estate taxes. That's because you own a home. That's a good event. Taxes support and supply our society. You look at this moment in time right now outside, millions, 30 million people have applied for unemployment insurance. That is a society tax paid for by the system that we are contributing to. So don't look at taxes as a negative. Understand and appreciate that they go to that public hospital that's still open, those public schools that are still open, those roads outside. Those are what taxes support. Past choices. This is a category I think you could understand by this afternoon. How much is in your past choices bucket? Let me define this for you. Anything due before the first of the month. That's my debts, my bills, my subscriptions, Anything that I know, it doesn't matter if it's February, March, April, May, I know before that month begins, that money is already out the door. Those are my past choices. I've made them in the past, and I can categorize them, and you should be able to give me a very clear answer of how much is in your past choices. We can talk about later on what the first one you should target is and really how to structure debt in general. But right now, just categorize. What are your biggest past choices? Does Netflix up in there? Absolutely. Does other services? Now I'm paying for Zoom. Zoom has just become a subscription for me. That just entered my past choices. Then we go into the present choices. So not things I've decided in the past. This is my day-to-day. I'm going out to lunch. I just bought that. I want to go do this. These are my wants and my needs. This is a very interesting climate. So if I were to ask you over the last 48 hours, day or two, what list have you made of choices? I would challenge you at an exercise leaving, write down 10 things, whether you consciously or unconsciously knew they accounted for money. Write out 10 things you made choices around that cost dollars. Those are something you want to just, I'm not saying right or wrong, become conscious of. And what I want you to do in that list of 10, start putting next to it a want versus a need. Want versus a need. I wanted to go get lunch. Okay, well, I need to eat, but maybe I wanted a more expensive lunch than I maybe needed. Or I need a new pair of shoes. Do you, or is that a want? You have to, and this is objective, this is subjective to you. So that is a decision, and that list starts to formulate, and you begin to see, not right or wrong, and we're actually going to challenge you at the end to increase some of your choices as well as decrease other ones. Then we
Jed,
get into,
we have a question that's tied into
absolutely.
that.
Awesome.
What if somebody wants to become an investor when they know they're a spender?
So this is the challenge. This is categorizing your dollars. One of the golden rules of money is do not spend more than you make and focus on what you keep. If you are a spendor, that means you are spending every dollar you make. You have nothing left over to begin investing. So what you have to challenge yourself to do is look at this system and realize your funds are going to the present choice bucket. Reviewing, listing out that bucket, you will start to, and I guarantee, I don't care who you are, you're a doctor who makes $1 million, again, you just started a job, you will find dollars in that present choice bucket that you don't need or want to use. So you can then shift from the present choice bucket into this future choice bucket. You focus on what you keep, because I don't care if you make $500,000. If you spend $500,000, you will never become an investor. So changing your mindset beginning, and that's why we begin with that type of or frame. You have just been introduced to what it is to be an investor, what it means to put those dollars to use. We're going to talk about how to do that here in a second, but that's a great question. The first step you have to do to become a spendor is realize that's where you are. Nothing wrong with that. I was a spendor. Gina was a spendor. We're all naturally spendors because this is an easy choice. History, habits are survival of the fittest. They want the easiest choice. It is easy to just take and spend money. But what we see as greatness, what we see as success is the ability to delay gratification, the ability to plan out, the ability to see things in a bigger time frame. And that's how we become investors. And that's what this fourth bucket, this future choice, we're going to talk very specifically about what this one is, but that's going to be your savings. I have a specific purpose. And then investing, I want to make my money go to work for me. The fifth and final choice is often one that we overlook. It's the compassion choice. This is the charitable bucket that, oddly enough, is science showing us this is the happy bucket. I'm not going to ask you to give away half your money, 10% of your money, anything like that. I start with this notion of give me a penny for your thoughts, 1%. If you can start at 1% when you're making $100, you will do it when you make 100,000. And the impact you will feel with just that 1% is going to lead to a greater sense of fulfillment. So any questions on the money buckets? We'll return to this at the end, and I'm going to give you a percentage chunk of what you can use as a guideline to fill up your choices.
Right. And Jed, this might be answered later on. We have a question about what if your heart's set on a university that might be out of your budget?
Okay, excellent. Let's talk about that for a second. So you need to, one, really understand why. Why is this my dream university? And what I've come to understand in the last 10 years about college is it's a phenomenal institution. It's a phenomenal resource, but you measure its value based on the outcome, not just on the experience. For so long, we said, go to college, one, because you're supposed to, and two, because it's just a great thing to do. We're realizing because of the cost today, we have to see the opportunity cost, what we are choosing to do with what we are giving up. If that goal, if that dream of yours is not worth giving up, is something that you say, I don't care the cost, I want the opportunity, that is something I would say pursue. But you have to measure exactly what you want coming out of that. I hate to use this example, but it's a reality. If you are going to a university that specializes in a profession that is not going to ever pay you $100,000 and $200,000, and you're about to go $100,000 in debt to do that, that is going to be a lifetime ball and chain. If you look at it and say, I understand, I'm investing in myself, I'm investing in this university, and it is going to get me a career opportunity I would have never been able to get had I not gone and done this, that is a different scenario, but you are basing it on the outcome and what you want to go to do with it. Then I would challenge you to start to look through a lot of different variations of going to get scholarships, going to get national endowments, going to research, and there are tons of websites that will guide you on exactscholarship.com, will guide you onto the hundreds of different ways you can get funding to make that dream reality. But the third option, and one that I see becoming more and more consistent as we move forward, would be, okay, I want my degree, I want my stamp on my resume to say, whatever university you have in mind, I will go to community college for 2 years. I will save up as much as I can. I will get down the road on those general education classes. And then in a year, 2 years, I will then get into the dream college of choice and get to still utilize that community, still utilize that network, and still utilize that information that they're going to be giving me. So there are a lot of different ways to do it. We didn't start with this. Typically, when we have more time, I begin with a goal setting formula and format. If your dream and your rich goal, which in the book we describe exactly how to define rich goals, if your rich goal is that college, don't give up on that dream. Find ways to do it. Don't say, I can't figure out how to do it. Just start to find ways to build towards that dream. So the first question I love to, and we've obviously talked and been discussing a variety of things, which is good, make it conversational. But this analogy I love to start with is, what has changed? Why has financial literacy, financial empowerment become a conversation, what it feels like almost overnight? Now, I don't know how many of you, obviously not in the near recently, but have ridden on a train lately. You know, whether you took a train to go to dinner, took a train to go see your family, took a train to go see a friend. Not many of us use a train on a daily basis, but it wasn't so long ago that the train was the primary form of transportation in the United States. There was 250,000 miles of train track, enough to go from the Earth to the moon on a train. But what it was an old industry. It was predetermined destinations, which means you got on, you sat, and the conductor took you where the destination was set out. Now, when people started to question and ask, well, I don't know if I want to go exactly there, or it takes a long time to build train tracks, are there other resources and options? Henry Ford in 1918 came out with the personal automobile, and it solved the two big detractors of the train. Number one, you could roll out a new personal automobile daily. And number two, it gave you possibly the greatest resource and tool, autonomy, which meant you not only decided where you were going, but you decided how you were going to get there. This analogy, this little story, is exactly what's happened in the financial industry over the last 25 years. The train industry, the old formula, was something called pension systems. Your parents, your grandparents, you've heard of pensions. Pensions are something that says a long time to build a train track. It takes 20, 30 years to get to a pension. But once you have it, you have a predetermined destination. You simply get on the train, sit down, and the pension is going to take you exactly where you want to go into your retirement. Again, I don't like that word retirement. It is a thing of the past when we could rely on pensions and you could rely on a society system called Social Security, which you paid for with taxes. You could rely on those two forms to work at one company until you're 65, and then boop, you get to ride off into the sunset. That is no longer the case. Companies, corporations have shifted the liability of your freedom from their balance sheet onto you as the individual. Enter the personal automobile of finances, boom, your money vehicle. This is going to be items like the 401k, the IRA, which are both retirement or future bucket choices that look at, if I am working at a company, I have a 401k. If I am working for myself, I have an IRA. If I'm working for a government institution or a university, I have a 403b, but it is just like a 401k. So I look at these individual personal financial vehicles as the new day and age of the personal automobile. You can use one today, tomorrow, you can open it very quickly, and you are in control. Why we called it your money vehicle is you have to sit in the driver's seat. You have to understand how money works, to build your strategy and to be efficient with it. No longer will a company let you ride off into the sunset on their dime. They are challenging you and forcing you to sit in the driver's seat of your money vehicle. And this could not be more of an awakening. You've all just been handed the keys to that vehicle, and it's up to you to start driving it. Millions of people are not currently in control of their money vehicle. You see this in specifically today's climate, but you have seen it growing over the last 10, 20 years. Over that time period, 90+% of pensions are now gone. So you will not retire. That form of retirement is gone with them. Freedom. What you want to do is have the freedom to drive your money vehicle and to put it where you want it to go. Any questions around retirement system, future? This is the beginning of your future choice.
Nothing up yet.
Wonderful. So next question, as you look at, all right, I'm starting to drive my car. The first mistake most people make with their car is they don't replace the oil. So what is that oil in your money vehicle? Well, let me ask you a question. What do you think the average interest card rate in America is today? You're going to have to respond. You can do A, B, C, or D. You can actually type in the ranges.
We've got over 20.
We got 1 over 20. So the average interest rate, APR, what you will be charged on a yearly basis to use a credit card.
All right, we've got 15 to 29%, 20%, 15%, 15 to 19%, 20 plus.
Excellent. So this is going to be a little shocking for some of you, and this is not going to be shocking for those who got it correct, but the average is around 21 and it floats, but it's over 20%. That means if you have $100 on a credit card balance this year, you will owe that company $20. That 20% should shock you because the greatest creator of wealth in our generation, in our history, is the stock market, and it returns on that same time horizon, around 10% a year. So double to use a credit card. Where do you think, and I'm going to ask you to type some of these answers in. This one you don't have to type in. Where the money comes from. I go swipe my debit card. The money comes from my bank. It's a checking account. Boom, money comes out of the bank. When I swipe my credit card, I'm not talking to a bank. I'm talking to a third party, a credit company. And money doesn't leave my bank account. That's where a lot of people get mistaken. Money doesn't leave my bank account. I have now a new relationship with this third party. Why? Well, what is being sent? Again, I swipe my debit card, cash money from my checking account is being sent. I swipe my credit card, they're sending, not a trick question, credit. Credit is simply a promise that you are going to come back and pay for this at a later date and time. So here is the question I want you to answer. Why can a credit card company charge you money? Why does a debit card not charge you anything, but a credit card charges you money? I'd love to hear a response to that. And if you don't know, give me 5 seconds and you're going to find out.
We have debiting is just using my own money. Credit is financing. They're coming to collect on that promise.
Excellent.
You are borrowing their money.
Exactly.
Because a credit card is not your money, the debit is, and because they're lending you money.
So those are all correct. A credit card is using OPM, which is a very fun term in real estate, other people's money. A credit card is a loan, and anytime you are a debtor, you will be charged interest, 20% for credit cards. Why is it so high? Because a credit card is what's called an unsecured debt. That means there is no asset underneath the loan. When I take out a car loan, there is a car. When I take out a home loan, there is a home. When I take out a business loan, there is a business. Saying if I don't pay my bills, they get the asset back. With a credit card, they double, triple, quadruple the interest because there is no underlying asset. So that is why you are going to be charged interest. Now, here is the question, and one of the things that makes me mad is the misunderstanding around how interest is charged on a credit card. You are going on a trip, you are furnishing your freshman dorm, you have $3,000, which don't spend all of it on the dorm, but in this scenario, you're going to. You have 4 choices of how you're going to furnish that dorm. You can pay for all your bed, your TV, your laptop, all in cash. You can put it all on the credit card, option B, and then pay for it by the end of the month. You can pay and have a strategy. You say, I want to pay half in cash, half on my credit card, but I'm going to pay big chunks of that credit card each and every month. Or my credit company, I got a cool one. They're pretty neat. They called me and said, listen, we know you owe us $3,000. You don't have $3,000. We don't want $3,000. We simply want $60 each month for the foreseeable future. Cool with that? Which of these 4 scenarios falls into the credit trap? The credit trap is anytime your purchase ends up costing you more than you originally thought. I thought I was spending $3,000 on furnishing my dorm. It ended up costing me more than $3,000. I fell into the credit trap. Which of these 4, A, B, C, or D? And if you want to write down item number 2, credit trap is anytime my purchase ends up costing me more than I originally thought.
Looks like we have answer D.
Nice. Solid. Everybody's confident in D. Well, obviously, A. Do we have another late entry?
No, D.
D all the way around. This one's an easy one. A, you paid for it in cash. It ended up costing you $3,000. B says, I put it all on my credit card, but I paid for that credit card before the month or before my payment was due. That one's going to still end up only costing you the $3,000. Even though you put it all on the credit card, you didn't fall into the trap, and I'm going to explain why here in a second. This option C is going to take you 12, 24, 36, almost 4 years to pay off, and you're going to have paid over almost $500 in interest. That $483, that is the credit trap. Your payment of $3,000, you ended up charging $3,483. This is where and how people start to fall into the trap. Now, this one's going to shock you a little bit, and it's meant to. I want you to see exactly how long it will take you. If you abide by that cool credit company that's telling you, hey, $3,000, you're good for it. Give us $60 a month. It's going to take you, do that math, 20 years, and it's going to cost you $6,000. It's going to triple what you originally thought. Paying the minimum amount due, MAD, makes me mad. Should start to make you mad. Next thing you write down under the credit trap is MAD, minimum amount due, makes me mad. Look at this, and I want this to shock you because half of Americans right now have balances on their credit card. Half. Let me say that again. Half of Americans are paying a credit company 20+% to just have money sit on that card. Can all of them afford to pay it off in full? Absolutely not. For those, we have other conversations to decide on attacking it. For those that do have money sitting in a savings account, sitting in a checking account, sitting under your mattress, and you are paying somebody 20% because you don't understand credit traps in the credit card system, this is an awakening, and this is the first mistake a lot of people make. If you look at what's happened over the last 2 months, millions, billions of dollars have just gone onto credit cards because people see it as an easy escape in a loop. That is a misunderstanding of how this is going to come back and impact their entire future and their plan. So now we start to see the first mistake people make on their financial journey, a topic I don't want to dive too deep into, but I did want to address your credit score. I look at your credit scores, the same 5 questions your parents will ask you if you want to get more curfew late at night. You can look at these. If we get another session, I come back and we'll walk through each and every one of them. But when you look at your credit score, no shock. The first one, the biggest part, is going to be payment history. Are you making your payments on time? But one that is often overlooked that I really want people to understand is how much of your credit are you actually using? If you have a $1,000 credit limit and you use $900 of it each and every month, the credit company, if you don't pay it all off, doesn't like that. Your riskiness goes up and your score goes down. So I want you to look at your credit limit and say 30%. 30% makes up my score. That's how much I'm going to use. If I have $1,000, I never put more than $300 on my credit card. So that's how you begin to use your credit card like a debit card and only buy things that you have money in your checking account to pay it off. Write this down. Use your credit card like a debit card. This is going to increase your credit score. And again, we have 45 minutes to talk specifically what the credit score impacts and does for you in your life. Now, everybody wants to talk about it, so I love to address it. This, if anybody can tell based on the pictures, I'm realizing more and more, most people do not. This is stocks and bonds. I need to update with the newest versions of the bonds, but these cats on the right, they were all the old version of James Bond. So I thought it was going to be cute in marketing, but you know, you swing and you miss. I'm going to keep swinging though. That's what I do. So what we want to know about stocks and bonds is they are the entry point for you as an investor. You start to see a bond, AKA, or also known as debt. A bond is debt. A stock is also known as equity. That means you are a part owner. You have taken equity in a company. So a bond is debt. A stock is equity. When you look at a bond in ownership, you don't own part of the company. You are merely letting them borrow. You are a lender some money, and your payment is going to be interest or how much you feel that money they are borrowing is worth. When you look at a stock, you don't get paid interest, you get paid part ownership in the upside of that company. So if you were to ask, hey, I have one stock or one share of Apple, am I a part owner of Apple? Absolutely. It's a really, really neat understanding. Stocks make you a partner, bonds make you a lender. So if you were starting a lemonade stand, which we talk about in chapter 6 around stocks and bonds, and you go ask your mom, hey, can I have $5? One mom says, absolutely. Here you go, son or daughter, here's $5, but I want $1 a week, and in 5 weeks, I want my money back. The other mom says, oh, yeah, here's $5. Boom, here you go. I don't want my money back, but I want 50-50 of anything you make over the next 5 weeks. Those are the two relationships you have in bonds and stocks. Now, when you look at it from a risk profile, bonds, lower risk, lower reward. Stocks, higher risk, higher possibility of a reward. Again, we're going to send you guys a sample of the book, and it's going to walk more specifically through that relationship, risk-reward, risk-reward. It's one of the do-re-mi. One of the essential understandings around investing is do follow the golden rule, return is risk, and me, the biggest problem people have as investors is me emotions. So the expectation you have, I'm young, I want to start to generate wealth. I want to put my money to work for me. I understand it's more risky, but I'm not looking at what the market's going to do in a year-to-year time frame anymore. I got 50 years. Let's go start making some money work for me. You are going to look more heavily into stocks. Somebody who says, hey, I want to start being free. I want less risk, less reward. I don't need to take that on. I'm going to have more bonds. That is the measurement in the balance. Are there thousands of other formulas? Are there thousands of other investment strategies? Yes, but these two are great introductions. When somebody tells you, oh, I just took 10% equity, they just mean they bought stock. They own a part of the company. When somebody says, yeah, I became a bondholder for that company, they lent them money for a price. So now you understand that offering. Again, I'm sorry if I'm going fast. I hope there's some questions, but why this course, why this subject? I try to touch on a couple. Throughout the 10 chapters of your money vehicle, we talk about insurance, we talk about taxes, we talk about banks, we talk about cybersecurity, a bunch of different things. So here is a question. I'm going to get to pause and take a sip of water. Who ends with more money at the age of 60? Again, we're looking at decades now. Veronica, sweet Veronica, says, I'm going to go to work in my 20s. I'm going to save $250 a month. And at the age of 30, I'm going to go start chasing my dream. Her dream is to always go play lead guitarist at the Gorge and George, and she just wants to go be a guitarist in her 30s and 40s. Veronica understands that once she becomes a guitarist, she's not going to get to save or invest as much. And so she's trying to ramp up her 20s. Sam, on the other hand, says, I got a car loan, I got student loans. My 20s, I'm going to have some fun. But when I hit 35, I'm going to double Veronica. I'm going to put in $500 a month up until I'm age 60 or 55. Who wins or who earns and creates more at the age of 60?
All right, so we have Veronica. If the interest rate is the same,
And I'm going to keep going because I know we're coming up on some time.
oh, we've got Veronica. I'm going to go for Veronica also.
All right. Well, I love this example because Veronica actually loses, but I like where your head's at. So this is the equation around the eighth wonder of the world, compound interest, and how you create employees, and then those employees go create more employees. Sam doesn't come out much of a winner. He wins by $4,000, even though he saved and invested 5 times as much as Veronica. But it shows you the number one advantage you all have as investors is time. The one thing no billionaire can buy is more time. And the one advantage you need to use is this idea of creating your own employees over a long-term time priority. So is it less risky to invest in a single company or in a group of companies? Again, I want to speed up because I want to get to the money buckets. So this is going to be, we're going to touch on it very quickly. So if you buy a single company, company X, you are concentrated, you have a high risk profile. Then you're introduced to mutual funds or exchange traded funds where you don't buy just X, but you buy W, X, Y, and Z. It's a group of funds that gives you some diversification and reduces your risk. But then you can buy something called an index fund. And this is not W, X, Y, Z. This is the entire alphabet. You buy A through Z. And you start to look at it and ask yourself, can I buy an index fund that owns every publicly traded company in the United States? Yes. Can you buy an index fund to make you part owner of every publicly traded company in the world? Yes. This is the area and this is the age of power that Jack Bogle, founder of Vanguard, discovered. The individual investor needs the index fund. You don't have the time, the expertise, or the want to go and try to find alpha and find which company is going to hit on a single or mutual fund. Use index funds. We talk about them more throughout the book. So let's go, because I want to leave 10 minutes for some Q&A. The 5 choices you have with every decision you make. How does this equate to you? How are you going to start formulating your money bucket system? This is based on, let's call it a $50,000 salary. So the last thing I want you to write down, I made $1, I saved a dime. I made $1, I saved a dime. I made $1, I saved a dime. You say it 3 times, somebody's going to wake up tomorrow with that in their ear. They're going to think I'm annoying, but they're going to remember it. And my purpose here is to get you to change your behaviors and to impact. So I made $1, I saved a dime. That one's just for fun. You look at your future self, your future choice. Again, if you're not sitting in this driver's seat of your money vehicle, if you're not concerned with future you, hate to break this to you, nobody else is. What we understood in the National Football League is we all play for this company or this team on the side of our helmets, but there's a name on our back that we have to carry that nobody else is going to worry about if we aren't. That second choice, that second bucket is society. Throw a quarter in there. I put a dime into my future. I threw a quarter into society. Now, some people are going to say, well, I'm going to pay less in taxes than 25%. Good for you. Good recognition. 25% is a good buffer. 1, depends on which state you're in. 2, depends on which city you work in. 3, depends on a lot of different situations around sales tax. Do you have a house or a property tax? Do you pay, are you self-employed? Do you have to pay twice in self-employment taxes around Social Security and Medicare? A lot of different considerations, but if you are parking a quarter for every dollar you make, I promise under a certain income limit, you will not come to April when you have to file your taxes and owe money. Okay, so that is just one of those buffers, because I've talked to too many people who say, oh, great, I spent my $50,000, and they get to April and they're like, oh, snap, I owe them $1,000 and I don't have another $1,000. So a quarter goes into society. My past choices, this is where you have just written out and understand how much this is. I understand for most of you, college, all these considerations, your past choices are going to be the priority. You want to attack this bucket and reduce it as down as possible, but these are some necessities. These are things you need. So looking at that and saying 30% is going to go to attacking my past choices. Priority number 1, 0 credit card debt. I treat my credit card like a debit card. I carry a 0 balance. Without a balance, I don't get charged interest. Penny for your thoughts. A person, a place, a cause you want to tie yourself to. This is the happy bucket. I'm not asking for a lot, but a penny of every dollar. And what's beautiful about this system is you automate it. You make your future choice go, your society choice go, your debts and your bills go, your payment, your compassion into it, and you get to land in your checking account and spend happily. Money is meant to bring you fulfillment. It's meant to bring you joy, happiness, to share. Money is not a noun. Money is not what we are after. It is the lifestyle that money brings us. That is why we call it your money vehicle. Money is a vehicle that takes you to that destination it is not the destination. So some action items, but truly I want to get to your questions. We got 10 minutes, I believe, Andrea. Yep. So questions, thoughts, considerations. My challenge to you is we're going to give you a free copy of Your Money Vehicle. That link will come out in the next day or two, hopefully by the end of the day. I want feedback. I consider myself a great failure, but I see feedback as little failures as positives because it helps me get better. This is a day and age. This book was an Amazon bestseller, so we know the subject matter is right. I want to know if it connects with you. You are the audience. You are high school students empowering yourselves before the university, before you get there. So welcome thoughts, questions, and how we can better address this need that has come over the last 2 decades.
All right, so I can go ahead and get started. Do you have a preference in credit cards? Is there one you like better, or do you have any advice for us on which credit card to get as a first credit card?
I would, you're all students, so I would make sure you have a student card if you're getting a traditional card. I like starting out with retail cards. Find one store you like to shop at and say, okay, this is where I'm going to begin my relationship. There are items that say you can have a secured credit card. Secured credit cards help build your score, but they are not going to put you at risk of overspending because you actually put money into it at the beginning. Or you can become an authorized user on your parents and start to build credit that way. So to direct you to one singular card, no, but a company called, or a website called bankrate.com updates on a monthly process, all the credit cards out there. Just make sure you do not have any annual fees. No annual fees in your first credit card.
And I know you mentioned this earlier, Jed. I know you were kind of a little bit with budgeting. What would you recommend for someone who that helps them with their money?
Absolutely. So truly, you can set up an Excel template and save some bucks and do it yourself. I would challenge your bank. Look at which bank you are banking with. They have services now that are starting to be used and seen around setting up your budget, or what I call cash management. Mint is a perfect and a beautiful resource and tool. I've also just come across and started to partner with a company called Securing Life Today, which allows you to connect all of your accounts. But I would start with my bank. Does my bank offer a free resource and a free tool? And then I would look at, well, how much of this do I want to pay for and how much can I do on my own? And then I would look at mint.com, YNAB, you need a budget, or Securing Life Today as resources and tools.
How about government bonds versus corporate bonds?
Excellent question. That is what I would consider level 2 of the Your Money Vehicle Challenge. But government bonds, corporate bonds, who are you lending the money to and what risk profile are they? So if I lend to the United States government, that is very low risk. I think we can all believe and trust the government is going to be here in 20, 50 years, hopefully. But that low risk means I'm going to get a much lower return. So I put that into my investment portfolio, government-backed secured bonds, as a low risk money resource. So if I need money in the next 6 months, I can go sell government-backed bonds because it's not going to fluctuate in price. Corporate bonds, on the other hand, now I'm actually lending to companies. You can also lend to states or cities, which are a little more risky than the federal government, but that's how you start to look at it. I can lend a company money, and that's a corporate bond, and then it becomes an interest of where are you in line on the debt scale? If I lend to a company and that company goes under, where am I in line of getting my money back? And that's why they're going to give you more money, because it's more risky. Then you get into terms called junk bonds, which is going to be things that have a higher percentage of going defunct, and you will get 8, 10, 12% for those, because there's also the risk of you not getting any of your dollars back. So it is all based on what the risk and the makeup of the lendor relationship is. Very similar to stocks, you have small, mid, and large cap companies. Depending on their risk profile, they give you different offerings to invest in them.
Okay. So how about as a student, I have $100. How do I get started in investing? Do I call an agent, or how does that process start?
Wonderful question. So it's a variety of things. If these are dollars you truly want to put to work for you, read Your Money Vehicle you're about to get. Chapter 10 shows you one place, but there are really endless places, and one index fund to go and put that $100 into that will make you the part owner of every publicly traded company in the world. And so that's what I would recommend, is because there's a couple step process, but we try to break it down and walk you through it. But truly, you should buy a globally diversified index fund, and it will be a very low fee, and you can do it on platforms. You can use traditional ones like Fidelity, Vanguard, TD Ameritrade. You can use newer technology, Personal Capital. Now I'm going to budgeting softwares, but there are a ton of robo-advisor and apps that you can go and start a account on. Acorns, Robinhood, and you can then purchase those index funds on those platforms. Starting at $100, perfect. Start, and you will see it continue over a long term. And then my challenge would be, can you do $10 a month? Can you do $20 a month? And continue to chip into it.
All right, so we are right on time at 11:30. And actually, I think there might be one more question down there.
I would say before we sign off, guys, truly reach out, jump on LinkedIn, Instagram, come find me, Jed Collins 45. I want to hear more questions and feedback. This is why I'm doing these things, because I want to get better and to service, this community.
Right. Well, a big thank you to Jed and everyone who has joined us. And also thank you so much for your willingness to share your knowledge. And all of our students will receive a copy of that book for free. Thank you so much. Look for that on our website and our social media to get your copy of it. And that will be out this afternoon. I want to draw your attention to the next speaker series. We do get to hear from Dr. Dan next week. He is one of the favorite speakers of Washington Business Week. He has some tried and true advice to give you on resilience and friendship. So we hope to see you next week. And again, thank you to everyone who has attended. Thank you to Jed and Jenna, and we will talk to you next week. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
See ya. Thank you, guys.
Bye.